Oh, hello there, YouTube. Ghostface is back at it again with some more Tanner content. And I'm wearing a different mask. That's what's my like BO. So, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you Tanner's ranking of all 7 Scream movies. And it should be noted that all of these movies are pretty good, and he would not consider any of my movies bad. Did I force him to say that? You would be surprised to hear me say, no, I did not make him say that. That was his own words. So, with that all out of the way, here is Tanner's ranking of all 7 Scream movies, all ranked from worst to best. As of 2026, because we're inevitably probably going to get 15 more of these movies. I swear, I can just never kill Sydney, can I? Starting up at number 7, the worst of the franchise. And when he says worst, these movies are still all pretty good. So even at number 7, he would consider this movie even watchable. So coming in at number 7 is going to be Scream 3. I think as time goes on, my thoughts on this movie kind of change a little bit more and more. But at the same time, I also kind of dislike the movie more. It has its perks. I really like the Hollywood setting. I think the setting for it is really cool. I really enjoy some of the new additions to the characters, but I think over time I find them even more annoying. I find like they're just not really meant to be there. And with the Ghostface reveal of Roman, I kinda over time like it more and more. I kinda like Roman as a killer. Sure, his motivation seems odd and out of nowhere that he was the reason that Billy and Stu killed Sydney's mother and that he is the reason that the events of the first movie happened in general. To me, that doesn't make any sense and that leaves a lot of plot holes. However, I think as time goes on and now that I expect it, I think I like it even more. And with his Ghostface with the voice changer thing, I think as time goes on as well, I kind of like that more. But for a movie that came out in 2000, that voice changer doesn't really make any sense. So, I think for a time thing, it doesn't make any sense, but I think over time itself, as the future progresses, and that AI is kind of taking over everything and we can make each other sound like somebody else, the voice changer does make sense. However, for the time that this movie came out, it doesn't make any sense, so I kind of have issues with that. However, even with other things like that, with the characters, with Sydney not really being in this movie because of filming conflicts, because she was filming other things and she couldn't really film this movie, and you can definitely tell by that. Other legacy characters like Gale and Dewey, they don't really do much, and they kind of become sort of unlikable. Gale is just hard to look at because of her bangs. Ew. And then the new characters, like the girl that's supposedly playing Gale, I liked her for a long time, especially when I was younger. But at this recent rewatch, I didn't like her at all. I found her annoying, and I think I even said that I would like to see her return at some point. I instantly take that back. I don't want to see her at all. I might have to kill Tanner's family. Coming in at number 6, and after this most recent rewatch, this movie has kind of gone down just a small bit, but not too much. So coming in number 6 as well, Scream 6. I don't know what it was about this last rewatch, but at this latest rewatch, I kind of had this movie fall down a little bit. I don't know if it's because of Melissa Barrera's firing and Jenna Ortega's departure. Maybe that has to play a key in here, but however, I still really enjoy Scream 6. So yeah, it's the my second least favorite, but I still really enjoy Scream 6. I think the New York setting is great. I think that they utilize it pretty well. I really enjoy seeing the new characters come back and they kind of develop on them a little bit more. I think that Ghostface, besides the new one, is at his most brutal, as his most gruesome and brutal in this one. There's a lot to like in this movie. However, which is another thing I'll get into in a movie later, the second half, like not the second act, the final act of this movie with the Ghostface reveal and the final act, I feel that's when it kind of takes a left turn because I felt like that this movie was doing everything right. You had everything going for it. Had the great setting, great kills, great characters. You had a pretty good mystery, but for me, it was always insanely obvious of who the killers were. So when the second those masks came off and they revealed their motive, I felt like it was extremely obvious, and I wasn't shocked. Which, if you so when it's completely obvious to me, it kind of takes away the mystery of it and the whole meta thing. Which to me, if you're gonna make a good Scream movie, it centers around the final act and the meta ness. So when you kind of mess up on both of those, the movie kind of becomes unwatchable. The meta-ness just goes on to franchise. That just seemed like a desperate move. Because to me, if you got the final act right, I felt like this movie would be up a little bit more, and probably if Melissa Barrera didn't get fired, maybe would have liked it more. And with Sam's character as well, eh, to me, she was never really that good in this movie. Even when I first watched it, I didn't really like what they did with her, which it affects the movie a lot more for me now, knowing that we might not see her character again, so that's a little unfortunate. But yeah, I still really enjoyed Scream 6. There's a lot here to like, but there's a lot here that just really brings it down a lot. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Scream 2. Now, if you ask me right now, I honestly think these 5 films could actually be interchangeable over time. Because, if I'm honest, it's kind of hard to rank these movies because I really like all of these movies and they're all pretty damn good. So, you ask me today, you ask me tomorrow, these 5 movies, they'll probably be interchangeable. So, by the time Scream 8 comes out and I redo these rankings, these 5 movies might be, different. But as of right now, my number 5 is going to be Scream 2. I really like Scream 2. I think it's a pretty damn good sequel to the first movie. And shockingly enough, this was Tanner's first Scream movie. When he was a young little lad, when he wasn't allowed to watch Scream movies because of his dad, he was on Netflix one day and he saw Scream 2 was on there and watched it without his dad knowing for the first 20 minutes, and then he walked in on him and then he just didn't care. So I have a lot of nostalgia. So Tanner, excuse me, has a lot of nostalgia with Scream 2. So again, could be interchangeable as years go on. So I really like Scream 2. I think it does that meta-ness of the sequels pretty well enough. However, the one thing it doesn't do is that it tops the original, because a lot of sequels for me, they top the original. But I really enjoy Scream. I think that it does the aftermath of Woodsboro on Sydney pretty well. I really like that this movie is set in college. I really like that setting. I don't really like how they killed Randy, but I really like how they did it. But at the same time, I do like it because it ups the stakes of the franchise, which it hasn't done in a long time, which it needs to do again. But however, one of the few things that this movie does wrong for me is that I believe this is the longest Scream movie of the franchise, and you can definitely tell because this movie just feels like a damn near filler through like maybe a half hour, 45 minutes of the movie. There's a lot of sequences in this movie where I honestly think you could cut out or get rid of, like the stage thing. I honestly think that could get cut out because it doesn't really need to be there. It's only there for the final act. And speaking of the final act, I felt like the reveal of Timothy Chalamet as Mickey being the killer. Did I say Timothy Chalamet? Timothy Oliphant, excuse me. Timothy Oliphant as the reveal of the killer. I don't really like the reveal of the killer because the character is kind of bland and he's not really in the movie. But I really do like Timothy Oliphant, so that's a plus. And I do like that not Nancy, isn't, yeah, Nancy Loomis, Mrs. Loomis is the second killer in this, trying to get revenge for Billy's killer. I thought that was a really cool improvement of this movie. I really enjoyed that. And throughout these movies, they do this like repeated thing where Gail and Dewey break up, and then they get back together in the next movie as they team up to find the killer. This is where it all started, and after seeing two, three, technically 5, to see them constantly split up and then get back together because of repetitive things. So that's something I noticed when rewatching it. So yeah, I think that Scream 2 is still a damn good sequel. I think it's a good, especially to a follow-up to a horror classic like the first one is. I still think that it's a good follow-up. But that final act with the Ghostface reveals, it always just messes it up, doesn't it? Repeated thing in this franchise, isn't it? And I might get in a little trouble for this, knowing how controversial this movie is now. So coming in at number 4 is going to be the new kid on the block, and that's going to be Scream 7. So I got a lot of thoughts on this movie, or Tanner got a lot of thoughts on this movie. I honestly think that this is still a good entry in this franchise, and I still think that even with the 7th entry, that this is the most consistent horror franchise that there is out there. You can have your opinions all you want. If you want to get politics involved with the Melissa Barrera firing, and that if that really affects your enjoyment of this movie, then sorry to tell you, then you're just stupid because I don't think you should get politics involved in movies. Just watch the movie as it is. I guarantee if Melissa Barrera didn't get fired and they just decided to go in this direction, no one would have hated it. Guarantee you that. But Nevertheless, I really enjoy Scream 7. I think it is a damn good entry in this franchise. I really love seeing the return of Sydney. I think that she is the best final girl of all time, and this movie definitely solidifies that even more. It sucks that she wasn't in Scream 6, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense why she wasn't in it, because I don't really think there's anywhere for her to be in that movie. So to see her come back into the 7th movie was a really good thing for me, because she's my favorite final girl. I love seeing her. I didn't really miss her all that much in 6, but I did like seeing her again. I think not the father-daughter, the mother-daughter bond that she has with her new daughter Tatum was really good. I really enjoyed what they do with that, and supposedly Scream 8 is going to be filming late this fall, so we'll probably get it sometime mid 2027. So if we are going to get a Scream 8, I hope that we get to see the return of Tatum, because I really enjoyed her character. I thought she was great in this movie, and I felt like that she is a good a good antagonist alongside Sydney, and a good like passing the torch to her daughter with fighting Ghostface. I would love to see that happen. So I think there's a lot here to love, and Ghostface is at his best when it comes to kills. He is absolutely gruesome. He's absolutely brutal. He is like, if you thought he was brutal in 6, he's even more brutal in 7, and I absolutely love that. And the opening, I thought the opening was really cool and really creative. I'm really glad that I really liked what they did there. However, where this movie falls off for me, and I've already said it a bunch of times throughout this video, is the final act with the Ghostface reveal, which is by far the worst that we've ever had in this franchise. The killers revealed in this movie are terrible. I won't be spoiling anything. I won't spoil the reveal. The internet's already spoiled it enough. I won't spoil it here. But the reveal of the Ghostface is absolutely stupid and horribly written. The literal killers are nobodies. You don't even know who they are. One of the killers only shows up in one scene. He shows up in one scene, and then when he takes off the mask, you're like, that dude from like one scene ago? That's literally what this is, and the dialogue is so poorly written to where you don't even know what the hell their motives really are, to where it's just flat out confusing. If they had just executed that final act right, and they had a great Ghostface reveal after setting up who looked like was going to be a returning character. I guess it's not really a spoiler because it was announced. So Stu is in this movie. Technically, he's in this movie. And if they had played their cards right and they given the fans what they wanted, this probably would be much up higher for me personally. But you messed up the final act. You had a terrible Ghostface reveal. You had a horribly written scene and a horribly written final act, to where this movie fell down a lot for me. And if you had fixed that, you got some of the characters more involved, like Gail, Mindy, and Chad. You got some of those characters more involved, and you executed that final act just perfectly enough for this movie to work. This movie would probably be in my top 3. That's how much I enjoyed Scream 7. But nope, it's a returning gag from the last movie. The killers is stupid. The final act is just terrible. That it really frustrates me, because I was really enjoying for what this movie was, and then you ruined it in the final act. For Tanner, anyways, because I'm Ghostface. I like all of these movies. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Scream 4. To me, this is the ultimate passing of the torch to the new characters, because before Wes Craven unfortunately passed away, this seemed like this was going to be the new era of Scream characters, with Kirby, Jill, Charlie, all of these characters in this movie. It felt like it was going to be the passing of the torch to these new younger characters and high school students. To me, this would have been the passing of the torch, but unfortunately, Wes Craven passed away a few years after the movie came out, to where we never got to see his Scream 5 or 6. It's unfortunate for sure, but however, I still enjoy for what this movie is. This movie decides to tackle remakes, and I think it does that just really well, because you definitely feel like you're watching the original again. Returning characters coming back. You have young high school students that remind you of Sydney, of Stu, Billy, Tatum, all of these characters that they remind you of. And then you also have the party, you have the house sequence and all of that. You have all these moments that make you feel like you're watching the original. And to me, this movie just does just that. And to me, the only thing that really bothers me about this movie to keeping it from being my number 2, because if I'm honest, my number 3 and 2 could be switched up one of these days, because I think that 2 and 3 are pretty close. This piss filter thing that they got going on, I don't know what's going on. It's smudged. The movie's whole is completely yellow. I don't know what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to do the thing where remakes had this like grainy look to it in the new era, like the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Prom Night, all of these remakes having this like weird color grading, smudged look to it. I feel like Scream 4 was trying to do something like that, but here it just does not work. So I don't know what they're trying to do, but it just doesn't work. And sometimes I do think that the killer's reveal is kind of, um, obvious, but I feel like in this movie, Jill's reveal as the killer, I think, is probably the most shocked I had ever been at a Scream movie from the killer reveal. I think this might have been the first one that actually shocked me because I didn't see it coming. Charlie, on the other hand, I did. He was obvious. However, Scream 4 to me is a great sequel of this franchise, and this is Wes Craven's last movie, and I honestly think it was a damn good way to go out. But coming in at my number two, and my number two still has not changed, and that is Scream 2022 or Scream 5. I call it Scream 5 because I don't call it Scream, I call it Scream 5. To me, this is a great sequel, and I feel like I just have a lot of, you know, fan service in me that loves this movie because by the time this movie came out, this was the first movie that Tanner had seen in the theaters that was a Scream movie. 11 years later, that had been since Scream 4 came out. It was the first one in over a decade, so to be able to sit in the theater and watch the new Scream movie was something special. The characters are great. It was good to see Ghostface come back. I really like the story that they do here. I think that the requel aspect of this movie is great. I really enjoy a lot of the things that they do here. However, once again, the killer reveal is completely obvious because they're like, oh, it's a requel to the first movie. It copies a lot of things that they do in the first one. Oh, then the killer's the boyfriend. Oh, who's it end up being? It's the boyfriend. There is a lot here to like. I really enjoyed this movie, and for this was more of like a dedication to Scream fans and to Wes Craven, and you can definitely feel that because there's a lot of moments here where they're paying homage to the original movie, whether it's in Stu Macher's house, the characters, the killer boyfriend, Sydney and Gale coming back. It's a shame to see Dewey go out, but like I said with Randy, it upped the stakes. And I do think that the new Scream movies do need to kill off a significant character to up the stakes. Yell at me all you want, that's what I genuinely think. So, to me, Scream 5 is a great sequel. It's a shame we won't be able to see Sam and Tara's chapter fully conclude in the right way. But however, if 5 and 6 are their only stories, to me, 5 is a great setup for their story. I really enjoyed these characters. And Chad and Mindy seem to be the only returning characters from these new movies, apparently. And I really enjoy them. Mindy, however, she's a little too weird. I prefer Randy and Kirby. But of course, coming in at my number one, and it should be no shock that it is the original 1996 Scream. I don't think there's anything else to say about this movie that has not already been said. Scream 1996, the original, is a horror classic. It is a masterpiece in the horror subgenre. It's a masterpiece of a film, if you ask me. Tanner, not Ghostface. I would say all these movies are a masterpiece, but I'm being forced to say what Tanner thinks. So, there's nothing that hasn't been said about this movie that hasn't already been said. Scream is a masterpiece. It's gonna take a hell of a Scream movie to top this movie, which they will never do. This is a perfect film in my mind. I absolutely love it from the opening sequence to the final act that they try to recreate a lot but doesn't work to the final act to Sydney, the characters, the meta-ness, changing the horror subgenre. It came from this movie. And there is nothing else that I can say about this movie that has not already been said. It is an absolute horror classic and a masterpiece. Well, there you go. That's Tanner's ranking of all seven of these movies as of right now. I'll see you all when Scream 8 comes out, and then Scream 9, Scream 10. How many of these movies are they gonna make? Oh, Jesus, I'm gonna be on this camera forever one of these days. But thank you all so much for watching of me giving you Tanner's ranking of all seven of these Scream movies. I got some more Scream content coming for you in the future. So, if you're looking forward to that, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification so you won't miss them. And if you like this ranking, like the video as well. And until my next Scream ranking and my next Scream video, I'll see you all next time, YouTube.